Hey everybody, it's Connie from Gliding Through Blindness, and it is time. I just could not avoid this topic anymore. Um, and because timing is kind of important in discussing these things. And I'm trying to be diplomatic here and also trying to not say too much for reasons that you will understand probably later. But so I don't mean to be deliberately like cryptic for no reason. But anyway, I am going to just give you a basic overview for now, but I'm not going to repeat things that I've said before on this topic. So you can check out things that I have said before in the playlist on my YouTube channel that talks about it. Um, and at least I hope I won't repeat myself too much. I always try to write notes so that I stay on track and stay with new material for the most part. But the robo-taxi rollout is very close, like only weeks away. They're only going to start with a limited number of cars to begin with, like 10 to 20, but they can ramp very quickly. And because that's one of the advantages they have over Waymo, that their cars are much simpler, much less expensive, and can be made much more quickly. And I've gone into the reasons for that in other videos. And so uh, they'll probably, well, I'm not going to go there because I don't know exactly how much they charge. I mean, they could charge more. I've heard that like people are willing to pay more for a Waymo in some cases just because they'd rather not have to like have another person in the car or whatever. But then again, they might charge way so, but that'll just be at first because they want to maximize their profits, of course. Um, but eventually, they will. I mean, and also they don't want to charge too little so that the market is saturated and they can't meet the demand. So it's kind of a balancing act. Um, but in San Francisco, people are already using this. For like sending their kids to school and everything. People are saying they're just starting to see these little kids in the back seat of a Waymo with no driver in the car. But that's how much people are already trusting them. And so, but yeah, the lower the price is, the more the market opens up. And like if you get low enough, it's just um, exponential kind of the market you can get. Like if it's just a little bit more, I'm not saying this very well, but I'll come back to that point probably in a future video when I can explain it better. But it's just kind of like the price of the car. If you just lower the price a little bit more, like below, like I think it was 30,000, then a whole new audience of people um, are able to buy it. Whereas if it was just like $5,000 more, they wouldn't. So a little bit can make a big difference. And in the same with the fare, like a fare for the taxi. If you open it up enough, it opens up a whole new market that there doesn't even exist now. Like people that are riding bikes or just don't want. I mean, they'll just be more take the luxury of a ride if it doesn't cost as much and if they're more easily able to afford it, which now people are just often comparing it to Uber in a lot of ways, but it's in a lot of ways it's very different from Uber and will serve eventually a whole different market that Uber wasn't able to access because they charged more because they have to pay the drivers. So yeah, I said I wasn't going to discuss it now, and I went ahead and did anyway in my meandering way. But hopefully you get the point. but yeah, so as I was saying, people are starting to realize that they'd rather put their child in a Waymo than an Uber, because you can't always trust the driver, but you can trust the Waymo. It's been just like proven over time, and Tesla will be as good as Waymo, if not better, in time. And what really sets it apart, though, is that it does not map the area like Waymo does. Um, and older people are also is going to be another market that these autonomous vehicles will really serve, because once they get too old to drive, a lot of times that's been a very heartbreaking moment for these people. But now they will still be able to travel and do all the things that they saved up their retirement money for, so they can travel. And then something like, even if they are still feeling good, a lot of times their eyesight just starts to go downhill, and they have to give that up. But now they won't have to. And another thing is that these robo taxis will go to smaller towns that, like Uber and Lyft, um, and aren't able to do. But the reason is that uh, people will be able to buy Teslas and enroll them in their own fleet, or just like privately, and earn money, like and that will include people who live in smaller towns. Um, like my hometown where I grew up, it's very small, but if there's just one person there that bought a Tesla, they could make a good living just by, because they could not only do it in that town, but surrounding towns, and their car could just be picking up people and taking them places. Um, when the owner of the car is at work or doing whatever. So yeah, that's pretty cool to think about. And so at first, the robo taxi is going to be um, not the cyber cab yet. Probably won't be coming till next year, but it will be the Model Y cars that are already um, in service now, except they'll probably have, I mean, they will for sure have a future update, because there has not been an update since like November. And usually updates are not that infrequent, but I guess they're just really focused on wanting to get the Tesla finished. So I'm sure the version that they have is a whole lot better than even the one that people are raving about now. Because of course it will be unsuper, like there won't be a you won't have to there won't be a driver in the car. So yeah, it's obviously going to be even better, because now people are still required, even though I just keep hearing over and over in these YouTube videos that there are zero interventions. For They can't even remember the last time they had to intervene, and the only time they do is just preferential, like they might want to just go a little bit faster in this section, or they might just want to take a slightly different route or whatever, but it's nothing critical. Um, and so now the Department of Transportation is even working on a framework now to include this autonomous breakthrough in their regulations. So that is a national thing. So that will make it much easier for these companies, Tesla in particular, to expand to other states and other cities once they get this all ironed out and everything. But they're already starting the process now, so it's just great that they realize how important it is to make these things standard, in order to make it easier for these like Waymo and Tesla, et cetera, to go different places. And because they realize too, it's important not to fall behind China, which already has a thriving autonomous economy. Even though the even the people in China say that Tesla is the best vehicle by a good margin, even though China already has other autonomous vehicles too that they have made themselves. Um, but anyway, so the Department of Transportation's regulation standardization thing that they're going to be doing will just make things way less complicated, because they won't have to deal with different laws and regulations in each state. Um, but I mean, once enough people, including lawmakers, etc., realize how great this is, that wouldn't be a problem anyway, because they will want to be the first, or they'll know that they'll just be falling behind if they don't take advantage of this right away. And this video is probably going to be pretty long. I was going to show you some clips like of this Tesla in China, where they haven't even been trained over there, but it's driving like on mountainous roads, very risky. This guy was like, yeah, like I wouldn't have done that, even though I have confidence in the Teslas or whatever, but he was letting it do its self-driving thing in very I mean, it did great, and it even passed a car on this narrow, very narrow road, with like drop offs, and because they don't have reverse there yet. They might by now, but on this video they didn't. Um, and this video is a little bit scattered because I've just been writing notes willy nilly as I've watched these videos. So I could have organized them more, but I think you'll get the idea here. So um, and another thing that Tesla is doing now is coming out with more affordable models, which will be another great thing. Because, like I said earlier in the video, this will just keep opening up markets to more people. Whereas, as of yet, it's just people with higher incomes that are able to afford these Teslas. And they're also going to be doing. They also are doing semis, and they like. Once they're totally autonomous, states will be fighting to for the right to get regulations quickly for that, because that will totally revamp the semi industry, and it will improve the or lower the cost of goods so that the state will have a better economy in the country and everything, because of all, of course, not having to have drivers anymore. I mean, at first they probably might, it would be supervised, I imagine. Like, so the drivers would still be needed, but then eventually they'll let the driver like sleep, and still, there'd still be a human like to take over if necessary, but he wouldn't have to unless like an alarm sounded or whatever. But it's just amazing to think of what that will, people don't even aren't even really considering the semi as nearly as much as they should be. And I think they'll just have to see some of this stuff in action, because Elon has promised so much that has been delayed a lot longer than anybody thought. But eventually the time comes, and the time is now. So it's, we should really start preparing for what it's going to mean. And a lot of things we can't really predict, but what we can, we should be really thinking about. Once it's safer than a human, there's just no stopping how disruptive it's going to be and how many things it's going to change. So there's a lot of reason to be excited. And I believe it will be the biggest company ever by a long way in just a few years from now, because not only are they doing this autonomous driving vehicles way more affordably, et cetera, than anyone else, but they are also doing robots, which is going to even dwarf the autonomous vehicle industry. So yeah, it's pretty like a foregone conclusion for anybody who has studied the company, as long as nothing like unforeseen happens, like war or just things we like that we can't really predict at all. But it's just really on track. It's going to affect all of us and be everywhere. And of course, blind people should be particularly interested in this whole thing because it's going to just change our lives in so many ways. And um, they're already driving themselves now from the factory where they're made to the outbound lot several miles without a driver in the car. And there's other vehicles on the road and everything else. So, and even going through tunnels, etc. And there haven't been any incidents. Um, and when I wrote these notes, which was a while ago, but even then it was 550,000 miles unsupervised that they had been driven already. And um, Elon says probably late this year or next year for sure. Whenever you order a Tesla, it will just drive to your house. Um, and so most people, if you really need to try it in order to understand what it like how, and even now we don't have the latest update. So but a lot of people are still just blown away by some of the things it can do, just like the parking and the smart summon, where it will come to you like if from wherever it's parked in the parking lot. Like if you're at Walmart and you have your hands full of groceries or whatever, it will just come to you. And so a lot of people just even freely admit now that they don't trust themselves and it drives better than they do, and like they're annoyed by that it's still always telling them if the car notices that your eyes are not where they should be on the screen, it will like beep at you, and they're saying, well, why do I need to be? So they'll like actually put their take their car out of autonomous mode so they can answer a quick text or whatever, which is so ironic that they have yeah, but it's because they don't want the car to beep at them or whatever, so it's just funny. And So the mistakes that a driver makes are just more dangerous, not just stylistic differences. And spouses of these Tesla fanboys are now starting to get on board once they see how well these Teslas are doing. And they feel safer to just let the AI drive. And a year ago, they didn't even want to get in the car if self-driving was on, because it was kind of glitchy, of course, at first, even though even then it was remarkable. But and now even the most skeptical people are starting to come around, and once they see them every day in this robo taxi, just like in San Francisco now, people are just getting used to seeing these Waymos everywhere. And it's people say it's really noticeable when you get into a car now with somebody that doesn't have an autonomous vehicle or doesn't have the self-driving feature enabled, because it's they can just see now the difference between a human driver and this self-driving autonomous feature. That people are just way more distracted, even good drivers, um, and swerving and going through stoplights and things like that. So people who don't put their elect to put their cars in the network um, will be contacted. It's just a matter of time before somebody says, "Hey, can I buy your Tesla from you?" And because they'll want to buy it to put it in the fleet, so there won't be any shortage of that kind of thing going on. Um, and Steak and Shake has already approached Tesla to start deliveries, um, where you'll just be alerted when your Tesla has arrived with your Steak and Shake order, and you'll just go out to the Tesla and pick it up from the frunk or whatever. And Steak and Shake is also going to start putting superchargers in their restaurants if all these talks come through, that they're already starting the process now of discussing it. And also another thing I heard about recently on a video is this whole idea of renting a car for a week or whatever. Um, like you can just schedule your Tesla, and when you get out of the plane, it will just be there ready for you, and you can just wherever you're vacationing or whatever, you won't have to use the robo taxis. If you don't, you can just have one car take you from place to place all week. There's just so many possibilities. And Another huge advantage is that you can just order your Tesla online at the given price. You don't have all this dickering and dealing that you have to do. And I've watched videos about that whole scam that dealerships, a lot of them anyway, or most of them, you're almost forced to like be crooked or be dishonest or whatever, because these dealers need to meet their commissions. And um and so yeah, it's just a whole big goat rope. um and It's just a circus, the way like the dealer will go into the back room for like a half hour sometimes or more. They'll make you wait while they do their secret calculations, because they're quote unquote trying to get you the best deal possible. It's a lot like the insurance scam, where, well, I don't know what we can do for you, like they really have no choice whatsoever. And yeah, it's and like people go away feeling that, wow, I really got this guy to give me a good deal. Like my mom, she was always so proud when she would buy a vehicle, because she just loved that whole aspect of negotiating with the dealer and stuff. And little did she know that she still was paying way more than she would have had to if the price was like totally fair or whatever. So that's the thing you don't have to deal with Teslas. And so yeah, once you buy them, they'll just be able to wherever you live, as I mentioned before. And then there's this whole thing about the younger generation. They have no interest in driving. Like before, people just couldn't wait to be old enough to get their driver's license, but now teenagers just Uber everywhere, and they're like, why would I want the whole hassle of a car and insurance and all that? And filling it with gas and oil change and why, like, there's just really no point. Of course, it'll take the older people like a little longer to adjust to that, but it is just a matter of time. And Because eventually the Tesla will take liability for all this, because a car is autonomous. And not to mention, these electric vehicles are just so much cleaner, more efficient for the and better for the environment. You get your time back. You can do whatever while the car's just um, driving you anywhere. You can even just look out the window and relax and sightsee. Like, I know some people just really enjoy the process, like driving, but once they just get used to, I mean, because many more people just say how exhausting it is to drive. It's like the whole day of driving, you're just exhausted by the end of it. Or even just routine drives that are so boring, like if you have to drive to work every day and take that same route every day, it just is such a drag. Whereas they won't even have to think about it, if the car is just doing it for them, and they can just appreciate the scenery or smell the roses or whatever. But with that, I'm going to draw this to a close, and I hope you found it food for thought. And I would appreciate knowing your thoughts as well. Please like and subscribe, it really does help. And with that, I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.